Hey brewers, it's Paul here, and today I just wanted to do a quick video on how to clean and maintain your keg. It's very important to keep these things cleaned and sanitized, or else your perfectly good beer will go in here, can get infected or just taste bad. I've had a lot of people be like, hey, I tasted the sample, when I transferred it over, but for some reason, once I kegged it and it was carbonated, it tasted like shit. Turns out that their keg cleaning game was not up to par at all. So, real quick, first thing you want to do is depressurize the keg before we can do any sort of maintenance here. I apologize to Trav, our camera guy. This might be really loud in your headphones. Last thing you want to do is try to take off a keg post or something when there's 10, 15 pounds of pressure in there. It'll just fly off, hit you in the face. Who knows what'll happen. Not good things, that's what it would be. So speaking of pressure relief valves, these do tend to fail after some time. Luckily, they just unscrew, and there's like some sort of O-ring or rubber piece here, and I guess over time that just fails. So when you're testing for CO2 leaks, I usually have a spray bottle of Star San. Since it bubbles a lot, I'll pressurize the keg and I'll spray all over here. I'll spray into the PRV, I'll spray the top of the posts, because a lot of times the poppets, the rubber on the poppets will need replacing and you will leak CO2 there. Obviously our lid as well. So if you needed to replace the PRV, simple, just unscrew it, get a new one. They're different colors, it doesn't matter, they all do the same thing. And then make sure you don't cross thread it like I seem to be doing right now. There we go. Get it in there nice and tight. At this point, I would pressurize it, make sure this one's not leaking. And then the common O-rings that will need replacing. Just a moment here, bear with me, this might be loud. Number one, the keg lid O-ring. This will need replacing every now and then. One way to prolong the life and also help your keg seal up better is by always using keg lube every single time you keg a new beer. Just put some on your finger, put it around the lid O-ring and also the posts. This will prolong the life of the O-ring and also help the lid seal better, and it will also help you get your disconnects on and off a lot easier. So let's say we wanted to clean this. You could just fill it up with hot water and PBW and let it soak for a bit, but the liquid tube that goes all the way to the bottom is going to be full of air, and I don't think the PBW solution would properly get in there. Two things you could do. One is, I know this is the wrong disconnect, pretend this is black. You would just put that on there. That would allow the solution to go all the way up the dip tube. Or what I used to do to make sure that I was cleaning everything as good as possible, I would take the post off, either with this fancy tool I have here, or a crescent wrench will also work. Take that off. I would take the poppet out and the post, put those into my keg that was full of the PBW solution. I would then take the tube out, and if you want to make sure you're getting everything super clean, we sell these keg line dip tube brushes. So these will just slip in there, and if there's any gunk or whatnot, it would remove it. So I'd put that on the inside of my keg, and then that way it's completely submerged. And then just do the same thing for the gas, although I don't think it's as critical. Beer is not coming through this, at least if you hooked it up properly. All right, same thing, poppet, post, dip tube. Now speaking of dip tubes, both the gas and the liquid have that O-ring here, which over time I guess compresses and will just need to be replaced. That's very simple, he says, as he's unable to get it off. Bear with me here. All right, that one was stuck. So old O-ring off. New one on. which by the way, we sell a kit that will replace all these O-rings. I think it's $4 or $5. Comes with the lid, both the post O-rings and the dip tube O-rings. If you need that, hit us up. If you're not in Canada or you have a local homebrew shop you want to support, they should sell this stuff too. It's pretty common. So got that in there, let it soak in the PBW. I'd do like an hour or two. And then another part that sometimes need replacing is the poppet itself, which you can buy replacements for a few dollars as well. These are universal, so should work no matter what kind of keg you have. Brad has a video about poppets right up here that you can check out. And then I think I already mentioned that you should be replacing your lid O-ring every now and then. That just comes right off. Like so. The new one goes on. That's pretty much it. You'd get your keg lube, a little bit on your finger there. You don't need a ton, just enough to get all the O-ring all lubricated there. And that's pretty much it. So let it soak with your PBW solution. Depending on how dirty the keg is, usually I'll give it a good rinse, a little wipe down before I put in the PBW in water. But I'll probably fill this up with hot water and then add like 3 to 5 tablespoons of PBW in there. Let everything soak for a couple hours. Give everything a really good rinse. And then I would sanitize it with Star San, which actually there's a couple little tips I have on that. All right, so I mentioned replacing the poppet and how we sell a universal poppet. So this is the one that originally was in the keg. Notice a lot smaller, it's a lot different. This will still work. I'll show you. And there we go. You can see it's in the working order there. Just make sure it's really tight. Don't want that to leak. The other O-ring that you're going to replace from time to time are the post O-rings. These are, for some reason, hard to get off. Or if someone has a better way than this at removing these fucking O-rings, please leave me a comment down below. I either take scissors or a utility knife. If you do it with this method and you cut yourself, it's not my fault. Be super careful. And I try to just cut that off. And if that doesn't work, oh wait, I might have got it. Sometimes some scissors, again, don't cut yourself. It's not my fault if you do. There we go. Old one off. Grab ourselves a new one. And then just slip it over. There we go. And again, a little bit of keg lube there. And that's it. That's how you replace pretty much all the O-rings on here that would need replacing. Now let's go and get this thing sanitized. All right. So let's just pretend I didn't do it in this video, but we soaked this in PBW. We rinsed it out really well. Now we're ready for some sanitizer. I'm using Star San sanitizer in here. You don't need that much, like a quarter cup should be more than sufficient. All right, and we'll shake it all around here. Now, I always thought, am I really sanitizing the inside of this dip tube here by doing that? I don't think so. So what I decided to do and what I do now is I'll just put a little bit of CO2 pressure in here. And actually, since we're doing this, I'm gonna show you how I check for leaks, since I find a lot of people don't do this thoroughly enough. Just give me a sec. Okay, so we have about 20 PSI of pressure in here, Star San solution in here. I'm gonna spray the top of the post and around the post here. You're looking for bubbles, I see none. PRV, pressure relief valve, I'm gonna try to spray it inside those holes there. Checking for bubbles, I see none. Then we'll do the lid. Obviously there's some bubbles, but that's from me just spraying the Star San. If something was leaking, you would see them forming quite rapidly. And then also around this post and on top of this post. Should be good. Okay, so now we have about 20 PSI of pressure in here, and we have about a 1/4 cup of Star San solution still inside. I'm gonna take out a little bit of that pressure. And then I have some tube. I'm gonna put that in my jug. I'm going to hook this up to the liquid out. So since there's pressure in here, it's gonna force Star San through that liquid post. Then we know for sure that it was sanitized. There we go. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to see more content like this. Cheers.